The day my husband got promoted was the happiest. But we did not know that promotion was slowly killing our home.
This is not a story about money. It is a story about how ambition can quietly poison love without making any noise. There was a small house at the end of a quiet street where Tunde and Amaka lived with their 2 children. Their home was not big or fancy, but it was full of laughter, love, and warmth. Every morning, Amaka would wake up early, cook breakfast for the family, and make sure everyone left for work and school with a smile. Tunde, her husband, would leave for his job at a bank, always promising he would come back home on time. Life was simple, but it was beautiful. Tunde loved Amaka deeply, not for the things she did, but for the way she made their small world feel complete. They shared dreams of a better future, sometimes whispering them late at night when the house was quiet. "One day, we'll live in a bigger house," Tunde would say, holding Amaka's hand, and she would nod, imagining the life they could build together. Their love was steady, like the river that flows gently but never stops. But as every river has stones that disturb its flow, life too has its challenges. Tunde had always been ambitious. He wanted more than just a steady job. He wanted recognition, power, and respect. And when an opportunity for promotion came, it seemed like the golden ticket to their dreams. But little did they know, the very thing that promised happiness would slowly pull them apart. The day the promotion was announced, Tunde could hardly contain his excitement. His heart raced as he received the news over the phone. "Amaka, I got it! I'm going to be the branch manager," he shouted, not noticing the children running into the room. Amaka smiled, proud of her husband. She hugged him tightly and whispered, "You deserve this. I'm happy for you." The joy was real, but there was also a shadow no one noticed yet. With the promotion came more responsibilities, more hours at work, and more pressure to succeed. Tunde started waking up earlier, coming home later, and sometimes even working through weekends. The office became his second home, and gradually, the small home he shared with Amaka began to feel emptier. Amaka tried to understand, tried to support him, but she also felt lonely. The warmth of their laughter was slowly being replaced by silence. Ambition is a powerful flame. It can light up the path to success, but it can also burn what it touches. Tunde's friends congratulated him, his colleagues admired him, and yet in the quiet of their home, Amaka felt the first cracks forming. Their love, once so visible in every gesture, every glance, began to fade under the shadow of ambition. And still, neither of them realized that this was only the beginning of their struggle. As weeks turned into months, Tunde became consumed by his work. Meetings, targets, and deadlines became the center of his life. Amaka tried to talk to him, to share her feelings, but every time she started, he would be too tired or too distracted to listen. "I'm doing this for us, Amaka," he would say, his voice tired but determined. And indeed, he believed it was for their family, but ambition can blind even the kindest heart. The children noticed too. They missed the evenings when their father would read them stories or help with homework. They whispered to their mother, "Where is Papa? He never plays with us anymore." Amaka felt a heaviness in her heart. She wanted to be patient, but the loneliness was growing. Her love for Tunde was still strong, but it was quietly struggling to survive. Love needs attention like a plant needs water, and neglect slowly withers it. Even small disagreements began to feel bigger. A missed dinner, a forgotten promise, a cold response. All these tiny moments added weight to their love. Tunde didn't see it as harm. He thought he was doing the right thing. Ambition had become a shield that protected him from guilt, but it also created distance. And every day that passed, the love they once celebrated quietly shrank a little more. At work, Tunde met new people, colleagues who praised him, clients who admired him, and strangers who respected his position. He enjoyed the attention, the sense of importance. Slowly, the long hours and the praise at work started to shape his identity.
Tunde began to see himself as someone who could achieve greatness, someone beyond the small joys of home life. Amaka noticed the change. He laughed less at home, talked less about dreams, and sometimes even seemed annoyed at small domestic matters. She tried to bring back the connection, cooking his favorite meals, sharing memories, and reminding him of their love. But Tunde was always thinking of the next target, the next deal, the next recognition. The more he chased ambition, the more their home became a place of tension instead of warmth. Humans are drawn to praise and attention, sometimes even at the cost of what they truly love. Tunde didn't see himself as abandoning his family. He thought he was building a future for them. But in truth, love is not only about providing, it is about presence. And the absence of presence, even with the promise of prosperity, can create a void that ambition alone cannot fill. Amaka tried everything she could. She remembered the days when Tunde would hold her hand and smile at her, the moments when their hearts were in sync. She started leaving small notes around the house, reminding him that love was still waiting. She cooked his favorite dishes, planned small surprises, and whispered words of encouragement. But Tunde, tired and absorbed in work, rarely noticed. At night, she would lie awake, staring at the ceiling, wondering if the man she loved still saw her the way he used to. She felt invisible in her own home. Her words of love bounced off walls that no longer echoed back. And though she didn't speak of it often, a quiet sadness grew inside her. It was not anger nor hatred, it was the pain of being loved less than ambition. Children can sense when love falters. They became quieter, their laughter restrained. They asked fewer questions, smiled less, and sometimes even avoided their father. Amaka tried to shield them from the truth, but children feel what is missing. And in those moments, the house that once thrummed with life now felt cold and empty. Love was still there, but it was slowly being poisoned, unnoticed by the one who held the power to save it. The tension finally erupted one evening. Tunde came home late, exhausted, and Amaka confronted him. "Tunde, we need you here. Not just in this house, but with us. Your job is taking everything from you, from us." Her voice trembled, but it carried a truth that had been building for months. Tunde, frustrated, shouted back, "I'm doing this for us. Do you think I enjoy working this hard? Do you think I want to be tired and stressed? I am trying to give you everything." His words were sharp, but deep down he knew there was some truth in hers. Still, pride and ambition made him blind to the depth of the wound he had caused. That night, silence filled the house. The children went to bed without hearing a word from their father. Amaka cried softly, trying not to wake them. Tunde sat alone, staring at the ceiling, feeling a small, uncomfortable flicker of regret. But ambition, like a storm, sometimes drowns the voice of conscience. And slowly, he returned to his office the next day, carrying his pride like armor, unaware that each step took him further from the home he loved. Weeks passed, and the pattern continued. Tunde's promotion brought money, recognition, and prestige, but with every achievement, something intangible was lost. Smiles at the dinner table, whispered goodnights, the warmth of a hand held in love. Amaka's patience was extraordinary, but even patience has its limits. She loved Tunde, but love alone cannot fight ambition that grows unchecked. The children missed the father who once cheered for them at school events, the man who taught them how to ride bicycles, the one who kissed their scraped knees. They tried to understand, but young hearts feel emptiness more than they understand reason. And in the quiet, Amaka began to wonder if love could survive ambition when ambition refused to acknowledge its cost. Ambition, like fire, can be a gift or a curse. It can illuminate paths and build futures, but when it burns the things you hold dear, it leaves ashes behind. Tunde was learning a painful lesson. Success without love is hollow. And for Amaka, the challenge was even greater, whether to fight for a love slipping away or to accept that ambition could destroy even the deepest bonds. One evening, Tunde came home and noticed the quiet. The house, though neat, felt empty. Amaka sat on the couch, staring out the window, her hands resting on her lap. Tunde's heart sank. He realized, perhaps for the first time, how far he had drifted from the family he loved. He sat beside her and said softly, "Amaka, I have been blind. I thought I was building a future for us, but I forgot what makes a home." Amaka looked at him, her eyes tired but hopeful. "It's never too late, Tunde, but it takes more than words. You must be here, really here. Love needs you as much as it needs your money or your success." Tunde nodded. He knew that nothing could replace lost moments, but he also knew that love, if nurtured, could heal. Ambition could coexist with love, but only if balance was found. That night, for the first time in months, their home felt warm again. The path ahead would be long, but at least now, the first step was taken. Despite Tunde's realization, the effects of months of absence were already visible. Amaka had become quieter, her smiles less frequent, and the children had grown reserved. Even when Tunde tried to reconnect, he sometimes found their laughter replaced by awkward silences. He realized that love, once neglected, doesn't return immediately. It takes patience, time, and effort to heal. Amaka felt torn. Part of her wanted to forgive immediately, to embrace Tunde and rebuild their home. But another part remembered the nights she cried alone, the meals eaten in silence, and the moments her children missed with their father. Love was still there, but trust had been tested. She needed actions more than words, reminders that Tunde's ambition would no longer overshadow their family life. The children, too young to fully understand ambition or work, felt the distance as a void in their hearts. They missed bedtime stories, playful tickles, and the warmth of their father's praise. Tunde began to understand that ambition, if it came at the expense of family, could cost more than money or recognition. It could cost love itself. And in that quiet evening, he promised silently to fight harder for the family he almost lost. Tunde started making changes. He left work earlier when possible, spent weekends with his children, and took time to help with homework. He realized that presence was more powerful than gifts, and attention stronger than achievements. Slowly, the walls of the house began to echo laughter once again. Amaka noticed these efforts and responded in kind. She shared more openly, laughed more, and allowed herself to be vulnerable with Tunde again. The children noticed too, and the house began to feel alive. Small gestures, a shared meal, a walk in the park, a story before bedtime, reconnected the bonds that ambition had frayed. Love, Tunde learned, is not a prize to be earned or a reward for success. It is a living thing that requires care, attention, and understanding. Ambition could still be pursued, but only if it did not overshadow the very heart of a home. The balance was delicate, but he understood now that the cost of neglect was far too high to ignore. Even as Tunde worked to restore love at home, pride threatened his efforts. Sometimes he returned to old habits, checking work emails late at night, taking calls during family dinners, or getting frustrated over minor tasks. Pride whispered that his importance at work was as valuable as love at home, if not more. Amaka recognized the signs immediately. She would gently remind him, "Tunde, we need you here, not just in body, but in heart." The children also began to voice their feelings, saying things like, "Papa, can you play with me today?" And "Papa, will you tell us a story?" Each reminder was a small but powerful call to balance, a warning that ambition unchecked could still poison their fragile reconciliation. Tunde learned that ambition alone cannot define a man. Pride unchecked is like a poison that masks love and blinds the heart. He realized that success without humility could undo everything he was trying to rebuild. And so, He began to practice not only presence, but patience, listening, and understanding, virtues that ambition alone cannot teach. Years later, their house had changed. It was bigger and more beautiful, but more importantly, it was full of warmth, laughter, and love. Tunde and Amaka often sat together in the evenings, holding hands, reflecting on how close they had come to losing everything. They shared stories with their children about ambition, love, and balance. Lessons of patience, presence, and humility became family values. The children learned that it is possible to chase dreams, but never at the cost of love, and that success without care for relationships is meaningless. In the end, Tunde understood a simple truth. Ambition is powerful, but love is stronger. When love is nurtured, ambition becomes a partner, not a destroyer. Their home, once threatened by the silent poison of neglect, had become a sanctuary, a place where love and ambition coexisted in harmony, guiding the family towards happiness and fulfillment. If this story touched your heart, please don't just close this video. Like this video so others can find this lesson. Comment below what this story taught you. Subscribe so you don't miss the next story. And share this video with someone who needs this message.